And we are live for this week's edition of Going the Distance. A quick recap of where I will be this week. Let's see. I will be on Saturday in Chattanooga, Tennessee at Fast Break Athletics at 8 a.m. If anybody's interested in details for that event, let's see here. Boom. I'll be hanging out at the store, going for a little joggy jog, previewing the course for the Chattanooga Chase, which is on Memorial Day. If anybody in the area is interested about that, I'll be running the 1 mile there on the roads, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then in a change of events, I will actually be in Durham, North Carolina at the Running of the Bulls 8K on June 2nd instead of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to be testing my fitness over 8K instead of another mile. We are getting in really good shape, but not quite fast enough yet to blitz a really fast 15, we don't think. So we're going to see where my fitness is at on the roads. Should be interesting. And then it looks like I'm going to be at Fleet Feet here in High Point on June 2nd, which I believe somebody said, or June 6th, which I believe is National Running Day. Thought that already passed, or thought that was one of those already. I don't know. I can't keep track of all of them. There's too many holidays and stuff. Speaking of that, May is still Vasculitis Awareness Month. And if anybody's interested in information about that and what we're doing during the month of May, here is, let's see, here's the link for the awareness page for the foundation. I'm sorry, and if you start hearing background noise, we had a nasty storm roll in here literally a couple of minutes before we decided to go live. So if you hear a bunch of thunder and lightning, what sounds like rain, there is literally a window right here. So I do apologize, or if we lose the feed, it's probably the storm. So I apologize. The big run. Who knows? That sounds about right, Michael. The big run, probably that day. But anyways, so I was at an amazing event on Saturday last week. I had the chance to be the honorary Grand Marshal for the Let Me Run 5K in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Let Me Run program is a program it's an after-school program for young males, young boys across the country, actually. They've got several thousand, I think they said 9,000 or 10,000 kids across the country that participate in the 8-week program in the fall and an 8-week program in the spring. And the culmination of it, they all get to run a 5K, which sounds like absolute torture for kids that are 8 to 12 years old. But they are out there hammering away, and it was incredibly inspiring to see all these kids excited about running, because they seem to normally hate running so much, kind of by that age. But I guess it's maybe really, I don't know, maybe it's middle school where kids kind of start hating running more and more. So it's extremely frustrating to not see more programs like this. I mean, the greater Charlotte area, between the Charlotte metropolitan area and some of the surrounding towns, they had, I believe it was 998 kids actually line up and run the 5K. They obviously had more participate in the program. Some of them obviously couldn't make the race and stuff on Saturday morning, but to see that many young kids just excited about running was just, it was inspiring. And and I've complained on here numerous times about our sport not being popular or whatever, or people hating running so much. That's I get that. I got the comment tonight when I was out running, doing my little afternoon run the night out at the community track here, and some ball fields and stuff out there. And you always get the comment like, "How do you run so fast?" I hate running, and it's like you hate running because it's kind of difficult, or you hadn't worked really hard at it. You hadn't, been stupid like me and probably put in close to 1 million miles in your life, but or hundreds of thousands. I don't know what the total is, honestly. Millions is kind of a high number. I don't run that much, but anyways, it was inspiring to see all these kids just really, really lay it on the line. There was some kid in 5th grade ran like 18 something, which was just mind boggling because I didn't run I'm a pretty good runner. I didn't run 18 something until I was like maybe in high school. I don't remember. It's getting too far away, but it was, the kids that were just literally laying everything they had on the line for that run at the culmination. They were so excited, and all the different teams kind of all had they had a group cheer together that they all did right before the run. And then they also, each team, like as they were kind of like heading to the starting line, each school and stuff, kind of, you could tell all had their own little cheers and stuff that they were doing. And it kind of reminded me a lot actually of the running camps that I work. And also kind of too, like before cross country races and stuff, where you see kind of everybody in their huddles and stuff, and everybody's kind of doing their school cheer or whatever, creative little thing that or tradition that what's the right word, had in place, I guess, for a long time. So it was super inspiring, to see that many kids out there early on a Saturday morning, just getting after it. And I got the chance to talk with a lot of them, and sign their shirts and sign their backpacks and sign their bib numbers and their medals. That's a new one. I'd never signed a medal before because they all got finisher medals, as they all rightfully deserve, for completing the 5 kilometer distance. But it was just such an honor to be able to be out there, and I got a chance to say a few words before the race to the kids, and I tried to pump them up, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was really them trying to calm me down, because they had me so jacked up. I kind of almost wanted to get out there and run with them, but that's not what I was there for that day. That was their moment in the spotlight. So, hey Russell, what's up, man? You're probably getting pounded on with weather like we are. So once again, guys, we have had a nasty storm blowing here. So if I end up losing the feed here, it's because something's probably happened to the interweb here. But I've had a crazy last week. Last week I also got the opportunity to record 2 additional podcasts as a guest, so it wasn't just me talking. You might have seen one of them. Let's see if I can find the link to it. I was on Man Bun Run podcast, which is hosted by a guy named Riley. And, there's finally, track and field has kind of had to take a backseat in the mainstream media. Obviously, when I'm in the locker room every day at the gym, Stephen A. Smith is still on ESPN yelling his brains out about something. But, running might not get a chance to be on ESPN necessarily right now, but we're having more and more things like Riley's podcast pop up, or the guys at Sidious Magazine, or the other one that I was on, which has not come out yet, which is Mario Frioli's The Morning Shakeout. He does a weekly podcast as well as a weekly newsletter. And, we're getting a lot more of those type mediums and stuff that are spreading the world of track and field now. Honestly, an endurance running, not just track and field. So, a lot of times they'll cover trail racing and ultra running and stuff too. But it's giving people more of an opportunity to get in front of more people. I just want, it's great for the hardcore running fans to have those outs and have those to listen to, where they can hear what other athletes are doing or hear what their heroes did. And, back in the day, you basically had like track and field news, and that was kind of about it. So now to have all these mediums is great. So, it was awesome talking to Riley. And I can't wait for you to hear Mario's too, because I feel like I'm talking about them both. But I recorded them both about a day apart, and it was after this one last week. So it was super super awesome to talk to them and get to share my story from a little bit different angle, because obviously, like on here a lot, I cover a lot of what I've done sort of more from the vasculitis side. So to get to kind of cover it more from a little bit from the running and the runner nerd in me side was certainly, for lack of a better word, refreshing. But yeah, we talked about a lot of good stuff on both podcasts. So if you've got an hour to kill, or you need some motivation on your run, I've tossed the link up there. The Man Bun Run podcast is also available on iTunes and I think Stitcher and Google Play. Any of the places that you might be consuming your podcast weekly. So give those a listen, give them support, give them a shout out on social media. The more people that hear about, just kind of like I've talked over about vasculitis awareness, the more people that hear about the unique stories that we have in running, and having the opportunity to share them in a long form, like a long form format. So you're not just getting like a quick hit magazine article. You're not getting a 2-minute flow track interview or a blurb on Runner's World. And I'm not knocking any of those. Those all obviously have their own places and stuff. But it's interesting the podcast thing now, and obviously I'm trying to get my feet wet with it as well, and I'm looking to kind of expand just like these guys have, and actually have some more people on and get all the necessary technology to do that. But it's just it's nice to be able to have a conversation that's not as somebody that's, and this is going to sound vain or egotistical, I don't know which one, as somebody that's had numerous articles written about them, there's always I can only think of probably like one article maybe ever written about me over the last 10 years that's been like almost 100% accurate. There's always like some little detail you find this wrong, and it gets kind of lost in translation of everything. But when you have the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, you can, especially like an hour-long conversation, like a podcast or something, it gives you the chance to kind of like put everything in a nice chronological order, or in an order that's understandable to the people that are listening. And things just kind of don't get lost in the fray. Things don't get confused. They might get a little confusing, I guess, but things don't get lost in translation as much, I feel like. So I've certainly enjoyed my fair share of podcasts over the last 5 or 6 years now. So it was, seeing the number of people that do them is kind of why I started to do my own here and everything, and chat with y'all and get feedback. And, I think it's important that we all, especially with the things that are going on in the world. And I know I talked about this a lot in the past, but putting good information out there, putting positive information out there, because that's not always easy, especially in today's 4 or 5 hour news cycle. It's really easy to get lost in all the negativity. So I certainly appreciate everybody that's taking the time to come in and do this and stuff. Zach, let me catch up on a couple comments here. Sorry, I've been rambling. What up, Rubus? Zach, C. Tolly Run and the 1609 Power are 2 great running podcasts that are very heavily interview based, and the stories that come out are so cool and things you couldn't find out about from anybody that a runner who was there. I'll have to get those C. Tolly Run. I know that's done by Carrie Tollison or whatever her name is. She was Olympic. I've run across the 1609 podcast, I think, on Twitter. I hadn't listened to it yet. I don't know who does that one. So, but I know I've reached out to a lot of people to try to get my story out there and in front of as many people as possible, especially during Vasculitis Awareness Month. So I emailed a laundry list of a lot of people. Trying to get not just my story, but the story of a lot of vasculitis patients out there. By the way, and this is just a random side note, not something I was really even planning on going down tonight. This last week, talking with patients has been, and I talk to patients normally on a daily basis at some point in time, and not just for myself, not just for them to help them or whatever, or doing part of the outreach stuff that I do, but as part for my own mental and physical health. But like just the things that I've heard this week have just been, some of it has been incredibly inspiring, and some of it's been just like, oh God, just so mind-numbingly frustrating. But yeah, this week has been just super, super uplifting with the things that I've heard and the things that I've seen from people that they've done. I got reminded today that and people might have seen seen me share this, and I'm trying to pull up the link for it right now. Cindy Abbott, I believe it was, I'm trying to find the link. It was like 8 or 10 years ago or something like that. She climbed Everest. Oh yeah, it was. Okay. So my memory wasn't wrong. It was 8 years ago to the day. She climbed, Everest. So, if you haven't seen that story, and she's also as well written a book, she became the 40th American woman to summit Everest. And I know I know this is another random fact about Cindy. Let's see if I can, I'm trying to share this post on, oh, well, it's not working. Anyways, Cindy Abbott, you can look her up. She's got an amazing book. She is the first woman to complete the Iditarod as well as climb Everest. And I'm trying to think of her book name, or I'm trying to find it. Excuse me. It's called Reaching Beyond the Clouds, I think. Anyways, she is another incredibly inspiring vasculitis patient that I've had the chance to interact with online, and hopefully one day our paths will cross in this physical realm and not just in the world of Facebook and social media. But yeah, like I was actually just talking with a patient before I came on here tonight, and I tell a lot of people this is like, you guys are all really what's getting me through all this and has gotten me back out the door this year. Because like, I can't just, this journey has been far too difficult for this to have just been about me now. And everything like Zach, Zach helped, raise awareness by running the Eugene Marathon back in April. The people that have reached out and done things or run fundraisers or shared any of the things we've done, it's been inspiring to me, and has certainly kept me going during the really, really rough times. And I've been thinking about that a lot this week, because that topic kind of came up when I was talking to them on this podcast, because this thing that I've been doing with my running and sharing about my vasculitis and everything, and my struggles with many of the other things that we've talked about on here at kind of ad nauseum, has started as a selfish dream. It's something that I thought was just really cool when I was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. But that could not have sustained me this long. And it's really, it got really tough physically last year, and probably should have been the point that I probably should have just walked away, honestly. But I can't, because I have a lot of people that, for lack of, I feel like they're counting on me to be this person for them. And until I feel like there's somebody else that I can pass the baton to, figuratively or maybe literally, I feel like I have to keep doing this just for, not just for myself, but for all the patients out there. So I'm going to continue to talk about this and share and stuff. The good news is have found myself in some lovely good shape that I hopefully will be able to take advantage of this summer. I'm working on nailing down currently the rest of my outdoor season into July and August to see if we can get back under that illustrious sub 4 minute mile mark late in the summer. I think that's becoming a more and more realistic goal. At times I didn't know whether that was necessarily possible, and certainly a week and a half ago with my performance in Minneapolis, it wouldn't be indicative of somebody that was going to be in sub 4 minute shape. But I know where I'm at physically is a lot different than where I'll, in basically May, where it's a lot different where I'll be at in July and August. I've put in a ton of work even since that race. So I'm just excited to be out there, excited to be running with people again and training hard. It feels good to be tired all the time. I don't have a ton of energy anymore. It makes it a lot easier to not get so angry about stuff. Yeah, Michael, I did see that Willie Fink, who won the Cam Run, went 3:59 last night. So if he comes back this year, he's going to have his hands full. I'm not going to let him run away with it so easily. So we'll have in the third running of the Cam Run this summer, we'll have I guess potentially two reigning champs duking it out. That group down in Atlanta seems to be doing a lot of really good stuff as far as putting on meets and giving people an opportunity to run fast this time of year. That's just not something that you've traditionally seen in this area of the country at this time of year. So kudos to the people of the Atlanta Track Club for making that happen. I saw the results, and it looks like they have been pulling in people kind of from all over the East Coast and even some people from out West. So that's really exciting. I wish I was in the shape to go down there and mix it up with them. I will be, I know, in another month or two. It'll be a very, very, very different story. But yeah, no, it's there's a lot of good things right now, I think, happening in the track and field world that are helping the sport grow on a grassroots level. The Cam Run's one of those, like when you get the opportunity to run in front of a bunch of people that wouldn't necessarily see your sport. And for anybody that's listening that doesn't know, the Magnum Mile and the Cam Run are a memorial race for my dear friend that we lost back in September 2015. So almost 3 years now. Or no, this year. This year will be 3 years. Sorry, my brain's not working right now. He was not just a dear friend, but also a fellow professional distance runner and somebody that I had raced against in college and actually hated. So, who later became one of my best friends and one of the reasons why I even started running again after giving up the sport back in 2013. So I owe him a tremendous amount of debt and gratitude, because this story wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for them. And anyways, we do a 5K run in the morning, and the top 25 finishers on the males, the top 25 women qualify to run a mile race downtown on Saturday night. That's during the middle of a crit bike race. So there's thousands of people out there already for the criterium that they have there in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you get to run a couple laps basically around the roads that they have blocked off there, and the fans get to really appreciate what seeing some high level distance runners run at a very obnoxiously fast pace looks like on the roads. And the energy is just always electric. The guy that they have doing the announcing is just super good at his job. Track and field could really, I mean, the guy he knows a little bit about running, obviously, but he's good at announcing, good at making things that can appear mundane really exciting. So he could, some of the announcers like NBC could learn a few things from him. But yeah, we're getting the Sir Walter Mile in Raleigh, where I got my first sub 4 minute mile at, and the St. Louis Festival Miles, all these opportunities where you're getting the chance to put people in front of, or the sport in front of people that wouldn't necessarily see it. So it'll be fun to be a part of some of those again here in the future. And that's great, Michael, that guy's going to be out there on Monday. He's super exciting. He's actually kind of like, he's got that big, loud, booming announcer voice. Something I wish I had instead of my nice, mundane blue voice. But on top of all the inspiring stuff I've seen this week, it's also been an incredibly tough week. I feel like I've said that word incredibly too many times. I need to expand my vocabulary. It's been a tough week talking with some patients about the healthcare situation. I know I've kind of danced around this in the past about situations that people find themselves in with their healthcare, with the cost of it, the burden that it places on them, the burdens it places on their family and their loved ones. But it's just it's kind of getting to a breaking point with me, and I get tired of hearing the same old stories, where you've got patients that can't afford necessarily to go to the doctor, or they can't see the doctors that they need to see because of insurance, or if you've got, and obviously not everybody's going to be a rare disease patient. Not everybody's going to be a vasculitis patient. Not everybody's going to be a cancer patient, and it costs them, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to receive treatment and stuff. So I understand that it's a really difficult conversation to have with people, especially people that maybe go to the doctor once a year if they're sick, or maybe go for a checkup. So they might go twice at the most. But the thing about healthcare is eventually everybody's going to need it. Very few people make it all the way through life without needing something. I mean, if you look at the cancer rate's 1 in 3. I think the last statistic I saw. I mean, that's an alarmingly high statistic. So that means 1 out of 3 people are more than likely going to have cancer in their lifetime, and you'll become acutely aware of some of the failings of our healthcare system. It's just kind of a patchwork job, and that's I hate to bring up the word universal healthcare, or because it falls underneath this umbrella of a very hot button topic of what people consider like socialism or whatever. But really what it's about is making the cost lower for everybody. Whenever you do have to go to the doctor, it's actually a lot more fiscally responsible. And when done properly, which I think this country has the resources to do and the manpower to do and the technology to do, we're literally choosing not to do it. We're choosing to continue to push misinformation. The people that represent us are continuing to push a false narrative, because anybody that's been around the system at all realizes how out of control it has all gotten. When you look at the level of care people are receiving, what they have access to, and the way that it works, it's just the healthcare should not be set up like it is. And I think I posted this on on the Twitter earlier, I think it's criminal, and the way that people are treated in the healthcare system. Just even when I was talking a few weeks ago about my little trip to the ER, and I was having heart problems, and I'm having to lay here on the floor and wondering whether or not I got enough money to cover an ER visit, and if this is something I might can just kind of ride out or wait to call a doctor tomorrow. That's a scary thing. And then you get there to the hospital and you're talking about chest pains and literally giving them the symptoms of somebody that's could be having a cardiac episode. And they're more concerned about whether or not you can pay the bill than giving you the right treatment. And that's scary. And I know it's really hard to change people's minds about how healthcare should be run. But until you've been in that situation, it's really difficult to understand. And, it's certainly opened my eyes to a lot of different things. And, when you get your hospital bill and you see that, you receive 2 Tylenol and it costs you $47, and I know that they'll say, well, that's because some people don't pay. And, insurance is going to pay some of that, but you're still going to be responsible for, X, Y, and Z. It's not transparent. It's not it's not really how this country even truly operates off of like a free market or capitalism, because, there's only really one hospital that's close to me. There's only one hospital close to most people, unless you live in, a major metropolitan area. So it's not like you really have a choice. You can't choose to go to another hospital. There might be only one specialist in your town. So it's not like you can get on Amazon and choose a cheaper doctor. Although maybe Amazon will be doing that in the future, considering they do everything else literally right now. So in fact, I ordered something off there earlier, and it's probably being droned to my house right now in this thunderstorm. But certainly if they've got a better idea than what our current thing is, then I would be willing to listen. But it's had me digging up a lot of research and reading just a lot of alarming things when you see the money that is being made off of the back of sick people. And I understand that a lot of it drives innovation, drives better medication, drives better treatment. But the absurdity of billions of dollars that are not going to that, and not going towards innovation, and not going back towards treatments, that's the scary thing. $150,000 or $1,500, excuse me, Michael. Yeah, that's about what any surgery is going to cost you in the hospital. Any length of time in the hospital is going to cost you at least $10,000 or $15,000. I know depending on the dosage, the 4 to 8 hours that I spend just getting a simple 250 or 350 milliliter bag of drug costs me between $15,000 and $20,000. And that's just for a 4 to 6 hours sit in a recliner that's not even that comfortable. It's not even a real lazy boy. They can't even afford a real lazy boy, or not. It's not that they can't afford it. They don't even give us a real nice lazy boy. So, you would think you would get a nice big plush throne chair, but like King of, or not, my brain's not working. Anyways, a big throne chair, like a king, but I can't believe my brain's not working right now. But yeah, so it's frustrating, and I actually ended up in a conversation with this at the post office of all places with a lady complaining about, I said something about not being able to sign, and because I've not gone and got my eyes checked like I need to, but, and she was kind of reiterating the same thing that, she's needed glasses for over 10 years, but it's not covered on her health care. And this is a lady that works at the post office. Like, she's got to, from the conversations that I've had with her over the last, year of me going to the same post office, she's obviously been there for a really long time and lived in this area for a really long time. And I don't know, but I think she's been part of that postal service for probably most of her career, but she can't afford to get glasses, and that's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that we're not going about it the right way. We're not even going about it the smart way, and that's what I think is the most maddening about it. When you start looking at all the statistics and start looking at where the money's going and what it's going to and who it's not going to and who the burden is being placed on, I think that's what really gets so just frustrating for me, because it's I just it doesn't seem smart to me. And maybe I'm jaded. Maybe it's because I have racked up probably millions of dollars in the last 10 years of healthcare stuff. So I certainly want to try to have better conversations about this, and I'm willing to entertain all ideas and stuff, because that's the only way that we really have a better conversation. It's the only really way that we move forward with anything is having conversations and learning from it. I try to challenge everybody to go out there every week and learn something that might change their mind about something, or read something that might change their mind about something. And that's, I think, what's sometimes hard for me, is sometimes to change my mind about something. But I'm certainly willing to listen to all views, but I haven't heard something that's changed my mind yet on this topic. So if somebody's got some statistics or can show me somebody else that's done it in a better way, that's contrary to what I've said, then I'm 100% willing to listen. But quite frankly, I hadn't heard anything that's backed up with good hard evidence or good solid facts. So until then, I'm going to kind of continue to say that we're doing it wrong, and I haven't heard a good idea yet about about how to fix it underneath the current model, or what representatives have proposed as a fix to make it cheaper for everybody else, when it's blatantly not going to, if you look at the numbers and look at the research and see those CBO scores and stuff. So it's just maddening that nobody's really willing to just put their nose at the grindstone and really have these conversations. So I'm certainly going to start having it more. I've been reading a lot of obnoxiously boring statistics over the last few days, and I think I'm going to slowly start. I've kind of danced around this topic a lot, and if it's something y'all don't want me to cover, then let me know. But I think it's something that needs to be covered, and needs to be talked about, and a discussion needs to be had, because I see too many people suffering from it, and I see it hurting too many people. So look for some more of that to come here in the future. But I think I've kind of yapped y'all's heads off enough about that tonight. So I'll give everybody a quick recap again of where I be before I get off of here too, because honestly, the way it's been thundering and lightning outside, my roof might come down as well. But I will actually I'll throw links up to all these too. If anybody's interested, I will be at Fast Break Athletics on Saturday morning. If you want to scroll up, and you can check out some of those links. You can scroll up on your thingy over here or whatever in the wheel thing. If not, if you're lazy, I'll actually do the work for you. How about that? And then I'll be running the mile of the Chattanooga Chase series in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Memorial Day morning. I'll be hanging out with my very dear Chattanooga family. We'll be laughing a lot, maybe crying a little bit, as we all miss our boy Cameron Magnum, Craw and City Bean. And then the following weekend, I will be at the Running of the Bulls, June 2nd. I'm going to see what kind of shape I'm in, see if I can't maybe nab an 8K PR finally. It's kind of old. And lastly, if you get a chance this week or next week or whenever, give the Man Bun Run podcast and listen to me yap in a little different format. Listen if you got a chance. And it is Vasculitis Awareness Month still, obviously. So please share that podcast. Please share any of the things that you see us vasculitis patients posting. Oh, that reminds me too. Speaking of that, we all chipped in to do a video for the foundation, and kind of our goals for the future here, and hopefully the sound on this doesn't go crazy. If you get a chance, check out this YouTube video. There's other people talking. I can't have that on my podcast. But anyways, share that video. It's a bunch of the other really, really cool young adults that I do a lot of talking with on a weekly basis, and we all kind of help each other out a lot, get through life, honestly, during its rougher stages. So please share that video for Vasculitis Awareness Month. It would really go a long ways, and I'd be eternally indebted to all of you all the time, as I always am. So that's where I'll be in the coming weeks. And oh yeah, June 6th, I will be at the Fleet Feet here in High Point, North Carolina for National Running Day. More details on that event to come. But till then, thanks everybody for tuning in, giving this a listen, chatting and participating. This week was kind of all over the place before I kind of got down to what I really wanted to kind of talk about. So if you don't want to hear me talk about healthcare more, please comment, and I'll be happy to listen. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to dig up a bunch of stats to kind of try to help lay out this topic for people that don't understand kind of how the system and stuff works. So if you don't want to see me go down that road, let me know. I'm open to tons of ideas. Or if you want to have a good discussion back and forth with me, I'm happy to have that conversation. So anyways, as I leave everybody every week, please go out into the world and read something or learn something that might just change your mind about something, and the world will be a little bit better place. Till next week, guys. We'll see you on the road.